All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To the Show We Go Baseball podcast. Today's episode, we're diving into the Blue Jays system. So I think it's the first Blue Jay of the offseason. We got Hayden Juenger on the pod today. Spent 2024 with the Buffalo Bison there in AAA for the Toronto Blue Jays. Hayden, I know you're back home right now. I know you're settling into your offseason. I know you're hunting a lot too, which I'll ask you about later.
Absolutely.
But how's the offseason been treating you so far?
It's been good, man. It was a long season, so to get back home and just kind of relax, I had to go to Florida, I think, for like a week. So I went down there and got a little mini vacation in, and then just, yeah, you mentioned hunting, so I've just been hunting with my dad and hanging out with my family, and so can't complain.
Yeah, I do want to dive. I like to get the boring part out of the way, get the baseball talk out of the way at the beginning, and then we'll jump to
Hmm.
other things. But
Absolutely.
uh, so you spent 2024 in Buffalo. It
Yep.
was part. I guess you were there for part of 2022. You were there
Yep.
2023, and then
Yep.
2024. What are some takeaways from this year with Buffalo?
And I thought overall, I mean, it was good. I think there was a month or two where, and I say it was a month because it looks like it was a month, but it was really just like a couple outings in the month that kind of made it a bad month. But for the most part, I thought I threw the ball well. Really attacked the hitters. I thought the way that my goal going into the season, like for me, like what I wanted to do is what I did. I limited the walks, limited the home runs. So like as a reliever, it's all you can ask for. Strikeouts took a little dive, but I threw less pitches, so like I got out. So to me, it was like a win-win. Like I know the numbers for some people are like, oh, you need to strike more guys out. Okay, whatever. Like I got outs. But I think overall, like it was a good season. Looking back on 2022, I always reflect, because I think I had such a good start to AAA that I was 21 at the time, literally like in AAA, and then turning 22 and just kind of like almost being naive to it. Like it's my first full season. Just here it is, just having fun, doing what I always wanted to do, and not really getting into like any of the like outside distractions of like whatever that may be. Just was solely just playing, and then coming in 2023, I kind of struggled with ABS a little bit. Just like once ABS came in, my way that my pitches played, it was almost like, oh hey, the hitters kind of boxed me into where it was like fastballs on top. They weren't swinging, sliders they weren't swinging, so it's literally just like in the zone middle. And if I threw anything in the middle, it was getting hammered. So like I struggled in 23, and then so like for me, I was like, okay, look yourself in the mirror. What do you need to work on? Never let that happen again, type of thing, and just kind of put my head down for the 23 off season and had a good. I thought I had a good year last year, and looking to propel into that 2025.
So I know that you just reflected on some of the things that you were wanting to try to do and
Mm-hmm.
some of the things you did this year. Did the Blue Jays talk to you at the beginning of 24 and just kind of tell you some things of like, hey, we'd like to see this out of you in order to get to the big leagues? Like, did they ever like have any conversation with you over the year or
Yeah,
anything like that?
yeah. I mean, going into it early on, they were kind of just like they didn't really care. It was really funny because I went in my uh, spring training meeting before big league camp, and they were like, we're gonna reflect on like this is all about you. Tell us what you thought. And it's like I immediately go to like the last year, and they're like, we really don't care about last year. Like we do, but it's not like the numbers weren't the end all be all, right? And so to hear that, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. But it was also like because looking at the numbers, the sexy numbers everybody likes to see, they weren't great. But if you really did a deep dive, it was like you limited your walks, you struck out guys, you limited the home runs, like you did everything we wanted you to do. Now it's just like putting the pieces together, right? So then like going into that, they were just like, see if you can like literally lower the walks again and you know, lower the home run total even more. And that's I was able to do that. And I hit on earlier, the strikeouts took a little bit of a drop in overall, but my strikeout to walk percentage or strikeout to walk ratio was better than it had been in AAA ever. So it was like you kind of we took a step back, but we also took a lot of steps forward too. And so it's just kind of like now it's just simply putting guys away is like the main like that. Like looking back, it was just like, hey, if you put away, 10% more of the guys than you did, it's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, something just struck out to me actually when you were just talking. It was your essentially your third year going back
Hmm.
to Buffalo this year, and I don't know if you've how often you ever look at like Baseball Reference, but they always put a column that I think is very interesting. It's the age difference column. Have you ever like seen that where
I
you
haven't
mentioned it?
I haven't seen it. It's like I was aware of it going into um, like my first year. I knew I was like one of the younger guys in AAA, and then in 23 I was still one of the youngest players. And then this year I was kind of like age doesn't matter. Like you deserve like you're if you're good enough to be in the big leagues, age doesn't matter. If you're going to be in AAA, age doesn't matter. Like you play that level. And but I did realize I forget where I saw it. And I wasn't like looking for it. It just I just saw it randomly one day, and I was like, at one point, I'm pretty sure I was still like the 10th or 11th youngest player in AAA baseball, and I was like, that's crazy. Because like to
It,
me,
it's crazy.
age doesn't reflect. I don't think age matters, especially in Pro Bowl. But just watching it, I was like, whoa, like you're still one of the youngest pitchers in AAA. So it's like I give myself a little bit of grace, but at the same time, it's like, hey, like you should be good. You're going to pitch at this level. Like let's start doing it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I totally agree because I mean you look at some of the hitters around AAA now.
Hmm.
You have like Jackson Holiday who's way younger. You look at Roman Anthony who's a lot younger.
Right,
It's like
right.
you got guys now that are 20 years old that are getting up to AAA, but you still it's on your old Baseball Reference page. You're still 4 years younger than the average in AAA.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just give yourself a little bit of credit.
for
Um,
sure.
I did have a question about before I'll shoot it to you, Chris, for another teammate question to back this one. But we saw Buffalo and Worcester a couple times this year, and I watched one of the best pitching performances I saw all year long in Worcester. It was when Yariel Rodriguez
Yep,
I
yep.
think he was pitching a no hitter or maybe it
Uh-huh.
was a one hitter. I don't know what it was, but he was absolutely dominating hitters. I think it was
Yep,
towards the beginning of the season.
yep.
And I kind of saw the Buffalo, that the team around you kind of have some guys throughout the year that were like, okay, that guy's good. Then he would go on to Toronto and do well. But how
Yep.
cool was it to kind of see some of the guys come around and
You know, I always the beginning of the year is my favorite. Like, obviously, it's my favorite part of the year because it's fresh off of spring training. Everybody has high hopes. It's baseball season again. It's cold, but it's hey, we're playing baseball, right? And Uriel is a guy that I was fortunate enough to kind of like be around him in spring training too when we first signed him. So like watching him warm up and like do his routines, like got to know him a little bit. And then when we found out he was coming to Buffalo, we're like, okay, cool. Like this is gonna be really cool. And like we were good. Like the first 2 months of the season, I thought we were the best team in AAA. Like I really did. I was like, no one. If we and I knew it wasn't going to be that way the whole season because like it's just AAA baseball naturally. Like guys are going to go up, guys are going to get traded, guys are going to get hurt. But it was like if we could play 150 games with this group right here, I don't know if there's a team that will beat us. And just because it was we had so much hitting and so much pitching, but it was just like and we were deep. But though I remember that outing, like it was we were sitting there in the bullpen watching him warm up, and it was just I mean he's from Cuba, so like he doesn't pitch in the cold. And we're sitting there and literally we come out and we're all like in our jackets and sweatshirts and he's rocking no sleeves and we're just like he's shaking in the bullpen. We're just like, okay, this could go really good and this could go really bad. And then as it's going on, he's just I think the third fastball was it was like 95, 96. I was like, okay, he's fine. Like and it was just you knew from that kind of like he made two starts early in the season. I was like, this guy's really, really good. And it's just impressive. It's really impressive. Just sit back in the bullpen and watch it happen because it's like these guys are so good.
Yeah, it was for it being as cold as it was too. I mean,
Yep.
in Worcester, and I think it was an April start too. It's like
Yeah,
some guys do not have it, which is like pretty understandable given that like you guys
absolutely.
were
Yeah,
just in Florida for a month and then you shoot up to Worcester where it's like 35 degrees, 40
I
degrees
think
at
that
game time.
I, I think that was the same series that got snowed out, or one of the
Yeah.
games got snowed out, and so yeah, I mean it's I think I like I said I think it was like 35 or 40 degrees. It wasn't necessarily warm by any means.
All right, Chris, before I shoot on to my next thing here, do you got anything?
I have a couple teammate questions. One really quick though. We talked about it just a little briefly before, but still a little relevant anyway. Obviously, so one of your teammates was traded in that Cleveland deal a little bit earlier tonight. We're recording on a Tuesday, second night of the winter meetings. When for example, like, are you someone that has notifications set up on social media, especially during this time of year, to maybe get that news before your agent can call you, just in case?
Not necessarily like for that reason. I'm just like a baseball nerd. I like seeing all the like just anything that's going on. I like knowing about it. So like I saw that I saw that Jimenez was getting traded over to us, but I didn't know necessarily who was going back. And so I was just kind of out messing around. And then I got back home, and then that's when I saw that Spencer was getting traded back over. And I was like, it's kind of surreal because I kind of came up with him. Like he got drafted before, in what I think in 19. So like we played together high A, double A, and triple A. We've spent parts of the last 4 seasons together, and I mean I would say he's one of my favorite teammates I've ever had, and just a great dude. So like, it's sad to see him go, but also like really happy for him because I think it'll be a great opportunity for him. He's a really good player, really good hitter. So no, I think it's gonna be a really good opportunity for him.
And so, what's it like? You guys had Joey Votto for a little while last year. What was that like to kind of have, big leaguer, almost 20 years in the game, just super great personality, but what was it like to have him around? What was his presence like in the clubhouse? Any like in particular interactions you may have had with him that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I would say first and foremost, he's one of one. Like there's no one like him. I will say it was a privilege to be able to share a locker room with him, and just the way he went about his business, you watch a 20-year big leaguer do something, and when you play for 10 years, like you watch him, but when it's over 2 decades, it's like the guy's doing something right. And so just be able to watch him go about his business and prepare for the game, and how he talks about the game, like that was the biggest thing for me, was like how he would slow down the game and talk about the game to some of us that would, like, I was fortunate enough to kind of have my locker. He was in the corner kind of by me. There was like 6 of us in the corner, and he would come in very nice, super like welcoming, and never really like wasn't. You knew he was a 20-year vet, but like it was also like if you needed to ask him anything, you could go up and talk to him, and just I wouldn't say there's any like particular moment. I think the wow moment was when I actually saw him like come in the locker room, and I was like, "That's Joey Votto." Like, but I also saw him in spring training too, so it wasn't like as crazy, and we all knew he was coming. I was more excited just to get an opportunity to play with him, because if you would have told, growing up in St. Louis, being a Cardinal fan, going to Busch Stadium and watching the Reds play, I've watched the Reds play 1,000 times at Busch, and it's like if you'd have told 10-year-old Hayden that he's gonna be a teammate with Joey Votto, I've told you crazy. Like like, absolutely not. And so I think it's guys like that they were able to stick around the game for that long and just learn and try to soak up as much information as you can from those guys. I think that's the coolest thing, and just sharing the field with him is awesome.
Yeah, that was actually going to lead me into my next like segment here, because obviously you grew up in St. Louis, and always have to show love to the hometown. We're a couple of 618 boys here and on this podcast. Sorry, Chris. But so let's jump into life before the Blue Jays here.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I don't think I got to ask you this question on the last podcast, but I am curious about it now. Who got you into baseball?
I would say both my mom and my dad, because oddly enough, they have the same names. Like, I'll just go a little backstory. They both are named Shannon, so my parents have the same name. Yeah, so it's very, very unique. I tell everybody's like exactly that. They're like, it's either no way, you're lying, or oh. And so I just like, I always tell people that to start it out. But then also they met playing softball. They met on a softball field. And so naturally, when I was younger, like my dad was playing like 6 nights a week when him and my mom. and my mom was playing competitive softball, so like slow pitch. So like they're always at the field, and then they had me, and they still played. Like my dad quit playing softball when I was like 8. He was coaching me playing softball, and then once I kind of like got taken off, he was like, "All right, I'll stop playing." Um, but like I remember going to his games. My mom would play like co-ed with him occasionally, like once a week when I was like 6 or 7. But like she was no near as serious as he was. But I remember like going to the softball field at like when I was 5 or 6 and just playing catch with my dad, fielding ground balls, and like some of the guys that he played with are like, oh, he's a natural, he's good, and like, oh, he's naturally just gonna play baseball, like. But reality of it is like there's a picture of me sitting on my great grandma's couch or maybe bed at the house that she still currently lives in. There was a Cardinal game on TV, and mind you, and we're talking 2003. So like this photo is like ancient now, but it's just me sitting on the bed watching a baseball game, and it's like I have it on my phone. It's just kind of a surreal, like, if you could go back in that moment and look where I'm at now, like, yeah, I haven't made it, but like I'm where I've always wanted to be, and I've made it a lot further than a lot of people. And so it's like to be able to just say I played professionally, but to tell that 3-year-old kid like, hey, it's going to be you one day, it's just kind of surreal. But I would say both my mom and dad got me involved in it, and it's been my first love. Like they bought me I don't know, it was like a little mini tee and bat set when I was like able to sit up, and it would like the ball would like pop up on the tee, and I would hit it, and then they would go get it and bring it back and pop up again, and I'd hit it. And so like I guess you could say like since I was like literally able to sit up, I was like baseball. And so it's kind of cool to just play my whole life, and like I always knew um that what I wanted to do, and it was very like obvious to me when I was younger. It was like, you know, when teachers, you go to school and teachers like, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? I was every answer was, I want to play. I want to be a major league baseball player. Like, and no one ever really like made fun of me for it or like laughed at it. They were just like, okay, yeah, you're a kid, you're dreaming. Like,
Yeah.
the reality of it is like, I mean, no, it's not going to happen, right? But like, I was just like, no, like, what's what I want to do. And I was also the type of person, and my mom and my dad and my grandma and grandpa were always just like, you know, if you want to do something, go do it. Like, whatever you have to do to accomplish it, do it. And so I kind of just carried that mentality through like elementary school and middle school and high school, and then to college. So, but yeah, that's kind of a little how I got started in baseball.
See, that's the kind of answers I love. That's why I like asking that question, because you just never know.
Right.
How
No, you don't.
often do they get to, like, obviously with you being, you're playing your home games in Buffalo, but how
Right.
often do they get to go see you play?
They come out. They try to come out like once a month. They come to spring training. My mom, my dad, my sister, and her husband usually come to spring training, and then they try to come out, like I said, once a month. But like if we play, like this year, we played early in Columbus. So they, instead of coming to Buffalo, they just went to Columbus. They went to Gwinnett, just because my buddy catches for the Gwinnett Stripers. So like he was there. They saw him play with them in college. They came to Buffalo for my birthday. Like they usually come, like I said, like once a month, and then I usually come home for the All-Star break. So like in the month of like June or July, they don't come out just because I'm coming home, and they come back early August. So it's they seem, I mean, they don't miss a game on TV. They have the MILB package, and my whole family has the MILB package. And I say family, it's mom, dad, sister, brother-in-law, great grandma, great grandpa, grandpa, other grandpa. Like they don't miss a game, and so it's like they're locked in. Even when I'm like, yeah, I'm not pitching tonight, and they're like, okay, it doesn't matter, we're still gonna watch the game. And so it kind of like gives them joy to, I guess, just it's cool to have their support and know that they're always watching, even if I'm not playing.
Well, while we're on the topic of showing some love to home, I got to show some more love to the 618 area in particular, because the amount of baseball players coming out of the 618 area lately, we were talking a little bit off air about some of the names that are coming out of there. It seems like they're starting to tick up more and more.
Yep.
And you're part of that wave. I graduated high school back in 2013. So
Yep.
there was a few guys. There was the Jeff
Yep.
Hartliebs and Jake Odorizzi's of the world out there,
Right.
and Tanner Houck not too far behind me. But
Mm-hmm.
what have you thought about seeing the uptick in guys going professional from the 618 area?
I take pride in being from this area, especially quote unquote like the 618. I think it's cool when St. Louis area guys get drafted, but to see the growth of this area, um, it brings me a lot of joy because when I was in high school, it was like I said, it was Jeff, who ironically I trained with. Like it was Jeff, and then Jake, and then you had Jake Haber also played with Jeff, and then you had Brian Hudson from Alton, and then you had Tanner Houck, and like that was kind of. I mean, there's maybe I'm missing a couple other guys that were in
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but like that's kind of like it. You had a couple guys go play college, and then you kind of looked around, and it was like, okay, now all of a sudden, I was, and like there was guys in my conference that I played college with that I think if they really wanted to, they could have went and played professional, right? Like they really could have, but it's not for everybody. And like they were talented enough. But to just see be kind of like the guy that got it going again, it's really cool because now literally today or yesterday we were working out together and there was 10 of us. And Jeff was in there. But it was, I mean, me, Trey Riley, Xander Muth, Ethan Bagwell, Drew Gray, Evan Gray from Belleville East. Josh Fleming was there, but I mean he's a Columbia guy, so he's still technically a 618 guy. Like Trey, or I said Chase Gockel, who was a free agent signed with the Angels. Like it's just one of those things where it's like we have 10 guys literally from the 618, and for not being a powerhouse state and it being, and I say state, take Chicago out of it, Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Really, there's not many guys, right? And so for it to be there, that little area, I think it's kind of cool. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I'll give them a shout out, both of them, but it has to do a lot with Sam Weber and Brett Huber. I work with both of them. I worked with Brett first, and then I worked with Sam. Both those guys are absolutely incredible. And, Jake and Jeff and Jake, they all worked with Sam before. Brett has worked with literally all of them, especially I would particularly say the younger guys. And there's guys coming too. That's not, we're not stopping. Like there's some more guys coming. So I think it's definitely an exciting time.
Yeah, I'm glad you gave our guy Sam a shout out. I absolutely love the absolute crap out of him.
Yeah.
Also, will give a shout out to a guy I graduated high school with at Triad, Cody Massey. I know he's doing some cool things with his buzzing baseball there.
Absolutely.
Out in my neck of the woods. So I always see his stuff on Instagram, working with a lot of the younger guys that are starting to come up. So it's a lot of cool things, man. I always love it. I love seeing your Instagram stories. I like that, you have that seamless pride. Obviously see you at all the Blues games as well, which I'll talk to you about later.
Yeah.
Come up.
Yeah.
All right. I got to get this question in because this was, I found this one on your college page, which I was very interested in.
Yeah.
It said you majored in entertainment management.
Yep.
Can you explain that to the people at home that like me that have no idea?
Yeah. Okay. So long story short, went to Missouri State. I was like, what do I want to do? I was a marketing major. Got my first marketing class, said this ain't for me. Like just not it. And it wasn't that I didn't think it was hard. I was just like, I don't want to, like, this isn't fun. And like, I thought in my head, I was like sports marketing, like that's what I want to do because I love sports. And I was like, okay, like, and I do, but I was like, marketing's not for me. So then I got to thinking, I was like, okay, I want to be a sports agent. Like that's what I want to do. So I called my agent, had like a 30-minute conversation with him because I was like, if I wanted to actually do it, what do I need to do? And he was like, well, basically you need most guys, it's you get a degree in some type of entertainment or sports management or something with a minor in law. And he was like, but honestly, a lot of it now is like also who do you know and what can you bring to the table type of thing to help in like an agency. And so he's like, it's kind of a combination. But I was like, okay. So then I went and talked to my counselor and I was like, hey, like, what do I need to do? And he was like, well, we don't have Missouri State doesn't have a sports management or sports agency type of like degree. And he's like, but there's a thing called entertainment management where in the degree itself, it's music. It's literally any type of form of entertainment that you think of. It's music, plays, sports, shows, like literally anything. And so like the class was literally broken into like sections, or there was different classes, obviously. But the real kicker that kind of bummed me out was I was supposed to go play in the Cape Cod League during 2020, during COVID, my sophomore year. To graduate from Missouri State with an entertainment management degree, you have to have an internship. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just go play, in the Cape Cod League during my sophomore year, try to get drafted. If I don't get drafted during my junior summer, I'll do an internship. That way I'm on track to graduate my senior year, whatever. COVID happens, and I'm sitting here like, okay, now this is a disaster because no one's doing anything. There's no internship. And I was like, if I don't get drafted my junior year next year, I'm playing in the Cape Cod League. Like, I'm going. So I'm not going to pass up that opportunity, because I think that's when you grow up, when you get into college and you start hearing about it, it's like, okay, like that's the prestigious summer league. It's like, you don't need to miss that if you get the opportunity to play. And so I was like, okay, well, so then I got back to school and I was just like kind of bummed because I really had a lot of fun in those classes. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to do an internship after baseball. Like, I'm just not going to do that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to become a general business major and just declare general business. End up getting drafted. Still haven't finished school. Long story short, I want nothing to do with business now. So I don't know what I'm going to do. My other friend is a general business. He was a general business major with me, and he went like the real estate route. So I could still do that, and like that kind of interests me a little bit. So I could still get my degree. I'm like a year away from finishing, so I probably should just finish it at some point after I'm done. I tried taking a couple of classes when I got, because I honestly didn't expect to go straight to Double A my first season. So I was like, okay, I'll stay at lower levels. Like, it's not as intense. It's still intense, but it's not. Like, I can get to do some other stuff. And then lo and behold, I'm in Double A doing college work, and I was just like, this isn't it. So I told my mom, I was like, I'm not doing any more college classes.
Well, I was actually, one of my questions I was going to ask you was about another summer league that you played in. You kind of played into it. You played up in Mankato for a summer when you were 18 years old in the Northwoods League.
Yep.
Can you just give me like one or two things that you kind of took from that, of like that whole experience? Because that sounds like something like like you said, it's like a lot of people always talk about like, the Cape Cod League or something like that, but like not a lot of people talk about the Northwoods League.
No, I would say the Northwoods League is one of the better leagues, especially now in college baseball. I had an absolute blast, and I didn't know what to expect. I'll be honest, I didn't want to go. I was like, I just want to be a normal kid. Like, it's my summer. I threw a lot for Missouri State as a freshman, as a reliever, and I was like, I don't want to go. But then they were like, well, just go play for a month. Like, get like 20 innings or 10, 20 innings, and you're call it good. And I was like, okay, that's how I'll play for a month. Because I was like, I want to have somewhat of a normal, summer. Being 18, it was eye-opening. I'm glad I did it because it really shows you, that league shows you what it's like to play a professional schedule. It's bus trips. It's relaxed. It's not, at least it was relaxed. My team was awesome. And I met guys from all over. And I played with guys that got drafted, and, just, you don't think about it. And I still talk to some of the guys today. It's my first summer team ever, outside of like travel ball, but like, I would recommend it for anybody, and it's a great league. And I think it's a great league for, there's nowadays, even more than I when I was in college, like there's so much hype on certain players coming in. So, they get a little edge up on playing in the Cape Cod League as a freshman. But I think it's a great league that if you don't get in the Cape Cod League, like, it's a great league to play in because you play against so many great players too.
Yeah, I don't, it doesn't get as much love, I think, obviously, as the Cape Cod, and I can't even name actually another one right now.
I'll say it's cruel. Like, it's a long, for the guys that play it from start to finish, I have some mad respect for them because it's like you just played, I don't know, 40 to 60 games for a college season, and you're going to play 130 games in like 135 days. Or I don't know if that's maybe exaggeration, but it's like 70 games in like 75 days or so. The season started before the college season ended. Like it starts before the College World Series, and it goes until like some guys have to leave because school starts, and so it's just like or like early reporting or stuff like that. So it's a long season.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was gonna say if it was actually 100 and something, it's like almost
MLB
season.
That's after I said it, I was like, wait, that's our season. That's not summer season.
All right. Well, Chris, if you don't have anything that to kind of follow that up, I am gonna go into beyond the box score here. All right. I already know what this answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm going to give you a chance to answer it. I ask this question to every guy that comes on the show, and they give me two answers. There's only two answers to this. Sometimes I get a better one. I ask, hey, Hayden, in your free time, what do you like to do? Like you got an off day or you like chilling while you're at home? And then every pitcher that comes on the show says, I golf or I play video games. What would your answer be to that?
Do you want to do it in the season or do you want to do what I do at home?
Yeah, you can actually give me both because I know what you do at home.
It's a little different.
Okay.
So during the season, you hit the nail on the head. It's golf or video games. However, this past year in Buffalo, I explored a little more. I took up just to kind of get away from the field and get out in nature. I hunt a lot in the winter, so I love the outdoors. I found places to go hike. And so I would just get up early in the morning and where it got kind of like warm in Buffalo and would go on a hike and take a couple trails and just kind of enjoy being out in nature. Clear your head a little bit on a Monday before, whether it's before you leave or you're at home for a home series. But yeah, usually it was golf or video games. It's usually always video games regardless if I golf or not, especially at night. But that's that. But when I'm at home, a lot of hockey games, a lot of Blues games, a lot of hunting goes on. Still a lot of video games, but recently picked up the guitar. I'm trying to learn how to do that. Yeah, I love music. Can't sing, but trying to learn how to play the guitar. So,
are you one of those guys that plays guitar left-handed?
No, still right.
That might be a me thing?
I hold it in my I'm strumming with my right hand.
Yeah, see, when I was playing Guitar Hero, obviously it was the big thing when I was growing up, but
right.
I played it left-handed, and I never knew that was left-handed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense now. But and now that I think about it, there were some left-handed guitars, like Guitar Hero.
Yeah, it was so weird to me too, because it's like I hear a lot of the guys in baseball that are right-handed pitchers, they swing a golf club left-handed, and it's just kind of like, okay, like interesting. And it's so weird that your body can do like stuff the other hand, but do the other. I don't know.
I do everything right-handed. I can't. My dad's a switch hitter, and he was a switch hitter, and he can throw with both hands. But he was predominantly left. Like he hit right through left, but he could hit left-handed. And he tried to make me left-handed, both hit and pitch and hit and throw. That's just to say, and it never. I would put the glove in my other hand and throw it with my right hand. So that ship sailed when I was 3.
Well, all right. I have 2 Mount Rushmore questions here for you.
Yeah. Okay.
This first one might be a little tough.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you I need a restaurant Mount Rushmore. So your top 4 chains, they can be drive-through or sit down. Has to be a chain though.
Texas Roadhouse.
My man.
Culvers.
Midwest Delight.
Try to think here. There's stuff that I like that's Cookout.
That's a popular one on this
show. Southern thing. If you never had it, gotta have it. And then I would say Chipotle. I'm Chipotle guy. Those would be
Chris,
my 4.
I have a question for you, Chris. Have you ever had Culvers before?
No, there's not any of those out here.
It's tough, man.
You gotta have it. Whenever you see one, you gotta have it.
It's
At least
tough.
What
I would say if
is it chicken? It's burgers?
no,
or-
it's burgers and fries and custard. But the burgers are like steak burgers.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good. I'm not a fan, but I'm not a fan because I don't like particularly care for them. But people rant and rave about them. There's cheese curds from Culver's
Mhm.
that are really, really good. I'm just not like a fan. It's like I like mozzarella sticks, but like if I go to Culver's, their fries are crinkle cut. They're great. I hammer the fries. I'm through and through. I take fries over anything. So there's that. I would say honorable mention too. Raisin Cane's honorable mention on there.
Yeah, whatever.
But that's just because the chicken. It's not the chicken. It's not the chicken. It's the bread and the fries. But that's besides the point.
You do know this is a Zaxby's podcast, correct? We went over this last off season.
I don't remember, but Zaxby's
All
is good too. I like Zaxby's.
All right,
but
fair. All right, second Mount Rushmore here for you. I need your Mount Rushmore of STL athletes.
of STL athletes. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys that were from St. Louis, not like played, or can they play in St. Louis too?
They can play. I was mostly doing it as guys that have played.
St. Louis, like athletes that played in St. Louis.
Yeah, let's see. I should reword this, I guess.
Because I could do both. I could do both.
How about let's do both? Do like professional athletes that have played in St. Louis, and then do like your version.
From St. Louis. Okay. I would say, I don't know. This is tough.
It's a tough one.
I'm not going to exclude the Rams because I'm not a Rams fan. I would put Kurt Warner on there if I did, but
yeah, that's fair.
I like
Falk.
I like Kurt Warner, Marshall Falk, but I wasn't really a Rams fan.
That's fair.
So I'll stick with Blues and Cardinals. Okay.
And STL City.
Go soccer, great. Don't care. I would go. You have to put. Oh, this is tough. Both sports is tough.
I can't just give you like one because then it's like that's too easy.
No. We're probably on the same lines here. I would say Pujols, guaranteed, no doubt in my mind. In my mind, I'm going to put him on there now just because of what has resolved this year. Jordan Bennington. He's the all-time winningest Blues goalie, and he's brought us a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, he's not liked on this podcast, but we'll respect it.
We can talk about that in a second because I'll change your mind.
Well, it's going to be hard because
I'll change your mind.
Maybe like 6-7 years ago, he decided to stand on his head. And we don't generally swear on this podcast, but that fucking guy ruined that year.
Great, Chris. We got to put a label on.
I jumped up and down.
Label on this.
All right, we got to put the label on the cussing label. But all right, go ahead.
I would say so. For two more, I got Bennington.
Bennington, God.
In my head, it's tough because I'm putting on mine. I'm putting Adam Wainwright.
How's that tough? I feel like Adam Wainwright was spectacular.
No, he was. It's just I feel like there's a lot of pitchers that could go on there too.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
And I'll stick with baseball. I love hockey. I can make my own hockey one another time, but I'm gonna put David Freese on there too. Being from St. Louis, single-handedly won World Series. I would say those. Yachty's up there. I would put Yachty up there too. But I'm going if I had to include hockey and baseball together, it's Pujols, Bennington, Freese, and Wainwright.
I'm shocked you left Molina off, but it is what it is, man.
I'm not a Molina hater. I love Molina. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and some people don't agree. I think he is. And it's not. And here's my argument to that is you look at what he brings to a team outside of at the plate. He's arguably one of the greatest catchers of all time defensively. And when he first got called up, he was not an offensive guy, and they knew that. But as he got older, offensively, he got better.
All right. I mean, we see what they're doing with catchers these days, though, in the Hall of Fame. It's all the offensive guys.
100%. And so, like, it's tough. But, like, I don't know. I think the Hall of Fame is the way it happens. I think you don't want my comment on that.
Yeah, it's all good. Chris, before I jump into my last segment here, I'm going into a little this or that. Do you got anything?
No. I mean, it's been a tough day over here, considering some of the free agent moves and the mental pretzel that the Boston Red Sox have put me in. And now I have to hear about Jordan Binnington. Relive all that again. No,
that's tough, man.
Does Jim Montgomery bring a sore subject too?
No, let me
not really.
Quick. So
because I am a big Jim Montgomery fan, and I'm so glad he's back in St. Louis and not in Boston.
Yeah, I wish you would have had him years earlier. The year that the Bruins were the best team on the planet.
Yep.
And you get bounced in the first round. You set all these records. Pasternak scored 1 billion goals. You're doing this 130 points, whatever the hell it was, and then you get knocked out in the first round. To me, I didn't even care that he was a first-year coach of the team. Like, that was incredibly just unacceptable. Then the next year, Florida comes in and pants you again, and then Florida has just owned this market ever since. What I didn't like about Jim Montgomery was it didn't feel like he reacted quick enough to the situation. That was my biggest critique on him. And then towards the end here, for whatever reason, the locker room just went sideways. And
I was actually at the game. They beat the Blues. The Blues are up 2-0, third period, and the Bruins came back, scored 3. In overtime, Pasternak in overtime buried it. Or I don't know if it was overtime or if it was like 10 seconds left in the game. But I was literally sitting in the corner where Pasternak shot, and I was like, I could see it coming. I was like, it's gonna be one time from here it comes, and I mean, there it was, and I'm just like, but I was watching it, and I think that I look at the playoffs very weird. Like, it's a very playoff hockey is, there's nothing like it. I also look at it from like a fan perspective too. But I also have a little bit of perspective of like playing. I never played hockey, but it's like I'm in a profession where some guys just get hot and the teams just get hot, right? And yeah, you set a bunch of these records and playoffs and like you expect to win. But like, how many times have we seen the 8th seed make it to the Stanley Cup? Like they sneak in and like I don't remember exactly what happened in that. Like, I don't know what happened in that series exactly, but it's like you look at it and it's like, okay, the guy can coach, and there's no doubt about it. Did you run into a hot goaltender? Like, did something happen, right? And like, I don't like it. I think it's all over. It's a spectrum. It's all over NHL. Like, I mean, Toronto is the same way. Like, they just can't get it done. The Blues for the longest time couldn't get it done. Like, they couldn't. There was a span when I was younger. I was say like 10, 11, 12, 13. Like, we won. We had the most points. We were the number 1 seed and got bounced by the Kings, and they did 8. And it's like, we would play the Blackhawks, and we could never get past the Blackhawks. And it's like, oh, you play the Dallas Stars, you lose to Dallas. And it was like, you would play them in the regular season, you'd blow them out. And it's just like, I don't know. I just think hockey is I love playoff hockey because it's literally, there's nothing like it.
So unpredictable every year.
So unpredictable.
Always unpredictable. All right, I'm going to shoot into our last segment here. It's a little thing called, I like to call this or that. It doesn't have a sponsor yet. Hopefully Zaxby's is listening to this. But some of it's food, so bear with me. I'm a food guy. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
First one's going to tear at the heartstrings a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 2 options on each question. You just got to pick which one. And then I might ask you for a little explanation if it's a little out of line.
Okay.
First question is going to be, which would you prefer of the St. Louis staples between going to Emos or Ted Drew's?
Emos.
Fair. Summer or fall time?
Summer.
Really quick, what the Emos? Is that the pizza place? Was that the one that Nazan liked?
Yes.
Donatello?
Yeah. I remember you guys. We talked about it. Was it last year or the year before?
Nazan is a big. It's Jason Tatum's the Emos guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nazan is also a big emos guy, but okay.
Yeah, emos.
I have sunflower seeds or bubble gum.
Lately, it's been bubblegum.
Okay. Last player I asked this question to surprised me, so I'm going to see if it's a common theme. Would you rather pitch in a day game or night game?
Night game.
Did you have to think about that one at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm a big. I love pitching in front of big crowds. I really do.
Okay.
However, I love a good kids day. It's loud. It's not many people. I'm out there. I'm like on an island by myself because most people do not like kids. Most players do not like kids day. I like. I don't know. It pulls at my heart a little bit. Just the kind of person I am. I remember when I was their age. Like some of them are annoying. Like they don't stop talking. They don't stop asking for balls. But then like you have the kids that are just like they're good kids. They're raised right, and they're not going to ask for a ball. And like, so those are the kids that I kind of go out of my way, whether it's to sign something or get something to. But it's like, it's always loud. They always bring the energy. A lot of people hate it, but I love a good kids day. But nothing beats a Friday night game. Nothing beats a Friday night game.
All right, dipping back into food here.
Yep.
This one's a tough one for me. It's even tough. Would you rather get wings at a bar in Buffalo, or toasted Rav in St. Louis?
Toasted Ravs in St. Louis. Not even a question.
It's crazy.
Not even a question.
Okay.
You want to actually kind of be honest here? I've had wings from 0 bars in Buffalo.
That's crazy.
Like going to the bar in Buffalo, I've had 0 wings.
That's like a thing though. Like every single bar in Buffalo.
Every single bar in Buffalo has wings.
Like fantastic wings.
I mean, we've got it catered. They're great. I'll die on a hill. Toast ravioli. I love them. It's like one of my favorite foods. So it's not even a question.
All right. You may have already preluded to this next one here. Would you rather go to a game at the Enterprise Center or a game at Busch Stadium?
Oh, currently, Enterprise Center. However,
what if it was a playoff game for both?
I'd probably have to go baseball. It gets loud. I mean, Enterprise Center is loud too, and I love it. And but I think the Enterprise Center is loud because it's inside. Busch Stadium gets really loud. I haven't experienced it. Obviously, I haven't played a playoff game in my career, but I went to the 2013 or no 2017. I think it was a 17 or 18 playoff game. Scherzer versus Wainwright at Busch, and it was NLCS game 1. From pitch 1, the energy was brought, and it was phenomenal. And I was like, this is unbelievable. And so playoff baseball holds a special place in my heart just because it's like playoff hockey. It's so unpredictable. You see it year in, year out. Things happen, right? But yeah, I would say if they were both, it'd probably be a playoff game at Busch. You know, I love a good playoff game in hockey.
Okay. I was just reading this next question here on Twitter/X before this pod, and I thought it was actually kind of interesting to ask a guy who's, you're in the Blue Jays organization and have a possibility of playing, in the AL East potentially in 2025 at some point. There's an AL East team that's going to be playing in a spring training site down in Florida. So I actually saw a poll that was running on Twitter earlier. It was the over-under of how many rainouts they would have at home this year. Would you put the over-under was actually listed at like 30. I think it was at 38. I forgot what it was. Would you take the over or under in that?
I'm going to take the under, and here's the only reason. I've played at Steinbrenner Field. I think it drains pretty well. You also have to remember this is a big league game, not a minor league game. They are going to try to make these games work. So, and it rains at Florida a lot. It rains during the day a lot. So if there's day games, I think they turn into night games. they are going to play these games because it's a big. If it was not a big league game, I would take the over. But it's just the fact of it's a big league game and the schedule is has to get done. There's
Yeah.
not many times, I saw something like they've already changed some games because of, I think, the Tarpon schedule and the Rays schedule. So like it's a little, got shaken up a little bit already. But I would say I would take the under if I had to.
Okay. I have one left. And
38's a lot of games. 38's a lot.
That's what I was saying too. I think they were
It's a
a little.
lot
I
right now.
think it was kind of parody at some point. It's like 38. Like really, like they're I don't know, but
They play 81 home games.
yeah. So it's like a little less than half is what they were guessing.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough.
All right, one question left, and it's food one before we wrap up here. Would you rather have a cheeseburger or a fried chicken sandwich?
Cheeseburger.
It's easy all day.
Easy.
All right,
No
Hayden.
brainer.
We you gave us 50 minutes of your time on this one. I think we definitely blew the last one out of the water, but we appreciate you so much for hopping on and obviously for checking in with us during the season when you came into Worcester. But yeah, we're going to be looking out for you once spring training rolls around. And yeah, we wish you nothing but the best for 2025. But thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a great time. I always love catching up. So anytime I see you, I'm a yapper, so I'll talk your ear off too.